This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Brandon Nimmo has a career day, and the New York Mets are the first team in Major League Baseball to get to 20 wins as they salvage a series split by defeating the Washington Nationals. Let me check my notes here. 19-5. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And boy, what a difference a little less than 24 hours make. It was yesterday that we were sitting in these exact spots discussing the Mets blowing a 6-run lead and having it be a big storm cloud hovering over this team for some of you. And the Mets responded with a very, very, very good performance. 19 runs, 21 total hits, another great start from Griffin Canning. And of course, the big story of the day that Brandon Nimmo had. And so it's no surprise that that is what we'll be talking about to start today's postcast.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Brandon Nimmo ties a Mets franchise record with 9 RBIs. He certainly was set up very nicely to get his 10th RBI to break the record that he was sharing with Carlos Delgado. But Mark Vientos made sure to ruin that with his first career 3-run home run. Gary mentioned it on the broadcast that up until this point, all of Mark Vientos' career home runs have been solo or 2-run home runs. So got his first 3-run home run and ruined Brandon Nimmo's opportunity to get 10 RBIs. But what a day for Brandon. 4 for 6, the 9 RBIs, the 2 home runs, including a grand slam. And he did all of his major damage during the 6th through 8th innings, where the Mets scored 12 of their 19 runs in just those 3 innings. This was a game that was trending towards being very similar to yesterday. The Mets were building a nice little lead, but you saw that this team was going to have to ask the bullpen to hold it down. And then the Mets offense came alive. 3 in the 6th, 5 in the 7th, 4 in the 8th. We'll break down some of the individual games that the Mets had in today's game a little bit later on. But Brandon Nimmo, certainly the story. And not just because it was an awesome day for him, the 9 RBIs, setting a Mets franchise record or tying a Mets franchise record. And, you know, just a homegrown Met has been here forever to have this kind of day. But let's face it, Brandon Nimmo has been one of the guys that we have been discussing during these postcasts of when is that breakout going to happen? When's he going to have that big day? And it's been sporadic here and there. He's been able to contribute. But we were waiting for the Brandon Nimmo that we've seen the last couple of years to show up and really help fuel a team's victory. And today was that day for Brandon. So that was really exciting to see because there are a couple of guys on the list, right? I think Juan Soto certainly on that list. I think Jesse Winker to some extent, Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo. I think those guys are all on the list of, hey, we know what these guys are capable of, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen them go on a run where they're just tearing the cover off the ball. And Brandon Nimmo certainly today tore the cover off of the ball. And Carlos Mendoza said it's either before the game today or after the game yesterday that he isn't getting the results, but he's hitting the ball really hard. Well, today, Brandon Nimmo hit the ball really hard, and he also got the results. And so you tip your cap to Brandon Nimmo for the 9 RBI day. If it's okay with everybody, I'm not going to play the open. We're just going to give Brandon Nimmo the Player of the Game award. We don't need to do the whole pomp and circumstance. There's not even anybody else that you would even remotely consider for this Player of the Game award. Probably the easiest one we've given out so far this season, a 9 RBI day for Brandon Nimmo. And you see it there on the side, the perfect bounce back. Yesterday was a tough day. Yesterday was easily the worst loss of the season. The Mets blew their chance to take the second game of that series and then have a chance to win the series today. The bullpen had a meltdown. Ryan Stanek for the second time in 3 days blew a save. I mean, it did feel like during the postcast that there was some growing concern that this team had hit a little bit of a wall, and here it comes. Here's where the Mets do what the Mets do, and it's all going to come crashing down. And yet here we are less than 24 hours later, talking about a team that is still the only team in baseball with single-digit losses, the only team in baseball to 20 wins. They have beaten the San Francisco Giants, who sit at 19-10. They're not playing today, if I remember looking at the schedule correctly. The New York Mets are the first team to 20 wins. They are 20-9 on the season, and they're going back home where they're 12-1 to start the year. So we said it yesterday. Obviously, there was some concern for the bullpen. Obviously, there was some concern for blowing that 6-run lead. But it is one game over the course of 162. And if there is one thing this team over these first 29 games have taught us, is that they are a resilient bunch. They have yet, other than the one time to Minnesota, they have yet to have two separate occasions where they've lost back-to-back games. Just not what this team does. They always have a bounce-back performance, and I think it's safe to say that today's bounce-back performance was the best one of them all, where everybody contributed in some meaningful way. I mean, you had this was one of those weird baseball games that we'll look back on a couple years from now and be like, hey, remember that time the Mets won 19-5 against the Nationals? And we'll talk about the Brandon Nimmo 9 RBI game. We'll talk about Francisco Lindor getting hit 2 times in one inning. We'll talk about all of these different weird things that occurred in this one. But a team that has made their identity, their mantra, being able to bounce back, being able to recover. I mean, a lot of the same players as last year. And what was the story of last year? Getting up off the mat when everybody considered them dead and out and not able to make a playoff run. And instead, we were celebrating this team all the way to the NLCS. And I see everybody in the chat pointing out some of the big offensive performances. Don't worry. I know the big story is Brendan Nimmo, and obviously so when you have a career day like that, but we will make sure to touch on some of the other big performances because there were a couple throughout the course of this one. So the New York Mets pick up a series split against the Washington Nationals. They win 19-5. We got to talk about the starter in this game, Griffin Canning, and then we'll talk about the rest of the Mets offense here on the other side. The NBA playoffs are here. They are they are underway. They are going on as we speak, and FanDuel is here to give new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel, they make betting so easy. You can pick your favorite team, or you can dive into the player props, three-pointers, steals, assists. FanDuel has so many ways for you to bet your favorite player props. Plus, you can even bet after the game tips off. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. I'm sure everybody in the ballpark today who was wearing Mets gear was having a great time watching today's game. There is nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of all of that wonderful ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. They've got last minute deals, they have all-in pricing, and they have a lowest price guarantee. They take the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, as the game draws closer, ticket prices drop, meaning that you can score an incredible deal. You want to grab last-minute tickets? They have unbeatable prices, which means you've got more money in your pocket to spend on that great food and to buy some merch. My favorite feature, the seat view. I love going on Game Time, trying to buy those last-minute tickets, and I'm able to see what seat I'm buying. I'm able to get a preview of what my seat is going to look like, so there are no surprises when I show up to the ballpark. They've also got the Game Time Picks feature. This makes finding the best deals effortless. It filters out the fluff and it highlights the top discounts in the stadium. How about you give Game Time a try? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute ticket, low at prices, guaranteed. Back here on the Mets postcast on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and on the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Appreciate everybody joining us here during the live portion on YouTube. Certainly a much better result and a much better conversation for us today compared to what we were talking about yesterday as the Mets defeat the Nationals 19-5. And what I hope doesn't get lost in today's game is the start that Griffin Canning had today. It wasn't necessarily the length, and this was something we were concerned a little bit about, but 5 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. And what I thought was really, really impressive for Griffin Canning, who, by the way, picked up his 4th win of the season and lowered his ERA to 2.61. Imagine in spring me telling you that Griffin Canning at the end of April was going to have a 2.61 ERA. The Mets pitching lab continues to get victory after victory. And what I was really impressed with Griffin Canning today is he worked himself in and out of trouble multiple times throughout the course of the game. He had trouble in the second, threw up a 0. In the third, he had first and second, nobody out. And you just felt like it was going to be where the Nats broke through and tied this game up. But he got a strikeout and then got a huge double play ball to get out of it. And then in the fourth, 2 men on again with less than 2 outs, and he worked out of that trouble. And then when he really needed it in the 5th inning, got a 1-2-3 third. I almost for a second, even though his pitch count was, I think it was 90 pitches at that time, I thought Carlos Mendoza may try to steal a couple of outs with Griffin Canning after that 1-2-3 inning, but did not. And it was a very solid day at the dish for Griffin Canning, who, look, this is what Griffin Canning does. He pours in strikes. He lets the ball get hit into play and trusts his fielders to make plays behind him. And while we continue to say that we want length from these starting pitchers, I am not going to come onto this postcast and crucify a guy for 5 innings of no runs, 5 scoreless innings, and a guy who has an ERA below 3 with a 4-1 record. I mean, he has just been excellent for the New York Mets. There's no other way to describe it. Let's talk about some of the other key performances here throughout the course of this game on offense for the New York Mets. What about Juan Soto? I thought early on, that first at bat, it feels like he's just getting on top of the ball way too much. He rolled over another soft ground ball to the right side of the infield, and that seems to be where he's struggling the most right now, but had a really nice bounce back performance from that. 2 for 4 in this game. Took the ball the other way for an opposite field double. I thought that was really encouraging. I think when he's starting to use that opposite field, you can kind of get the sense that maybe a breakout is right around the corner or a nice hot stretch is right around the corner, being able to take that ball, go the other way with it, not roll over on top of it. So that was really good to see. Francisco Lindor doesn't get a hit, but gets hit by a pitch 2 times in 1 inning, which just a rarity in all of baseball, but that happens. Pete Alonso, 2 for 5. Jesse Winker, 2 for 4. Vientos with the 3-run home run. We already talked about Brendan Nimmo. Alvarez with 2 hits. McNeil with 2 hits, 3 RBIs. I mean, certainly McNeil would have been a big story today. Hit his first home run of the season. Drove in the first run of the game or the second run of the game, for the Mets. He had a great day at the dish, kind of overshadowed by what Brandon Nimmo did. But you look up and down this lineup. Taylor comes off the bench with a hit. Azócar comes off the bench with a hit. Soto multi-hit day. Alonso multi-hit day. Winker, Vientos, Nimmo, Alvarez, McNeil, Acuna with 3 hits. I mean, it was just up and down the lineup. This team in the 6th through 8th inning in particular, just they had it clicking. And I'll tell you that when this game was 6-0, I thought, okay, here we go again. The New York Mets are going to ask their bullpen to hold on to a 6-run lead, a very quick chance at redemption for this group. They are going to get to redeem themselves in a big way, and they're going to be able to just make us forget about yesterday. Well, we forgot about yesterday, just not exactly the way that I thought we were going to, because the Mets offense came to play today, and boy, does it feel good to see this team break out and to see a bunch of guys have nice days at the dish. And again, everybody got involved. I mean, Lindor's the only guy without a hit in the box score, and he still got on base 2 times with the hit by pitch. So everybody got on base. Everybody contributed. Everybody scored a run in this game except Tyrone Taylor, who came off the bench, and Alvarez. It's just a great day for the New York Mets all across the board. And again, the perfect bounce back performance from this team. Real quick, I want to make sure we talk about Jose Urena, because I think there was some thought that he might have been the spot starter on Wednesday. Clearly, that's not going to be the case now that he started these 3 innings today. By the way, picked up a save. So and I don't care that he gave up 5 runs. He gets a save in the stat sheet. He gets a save on the box score. Look, I know he gave up the 5 runs, and I know the game was a little lengthier than we wanted it to be when the Mets had a 15-0 lead, and he gave up 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th. But Jose Urena, it is his role to just eat up innings, and if you give up runs, you give up runs. Throw strikes, pour it in there, let the ball get put into play, and hope that you can make 3 outs. And I think from that regard, Jose Urena did his job, and more importantly, save the bullpen. You use Crackin in a key spot in the 6th. The game is still close at that point. So you want to hold down the lead, and he did that, and then you hand it to Jose Urena. And again, I know that Jose Urena got crushed. At the end of the day, it's still a 19-5 win, and I don't necessarily think that Jose Urena is going to be counted on for much more after this, and just being up here in a mop-up duty role to pitch these 3 innings. I don't have the information in front of me. I'll try to pull it up in real time. I don't know if he has any options, but one would think that they are going to option him down if that option exists for them, because after pitching 3 innings, I don't expect him to be available here for the next couple of days. I'm checking real quick. He does not have any options down to the minor league, so they would have to waive him. They'd have to DFA him. But I think they'll they'll probably option him back down, or just they're not going to have him for the next couple days after throwing nearly 70 pitches in 3 innings of work. But did not matter for the New York Mets, who, by the way, even after what happened yesterday, I'm just seeing a tweet now, 111 win pace in 2025. And again, the first team to 20 wins this season. So I know we broke everything down yesterday, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it was a lot of bad and it was a lot of ugly. But I think the last 24 hours, yesterday into today, should be a reminder to all of us, myself included, that this is a 162 game season for a reason, that this is a long grind all the way through September into the playoffs in October. And there are going to be days like yesterday, just like there are going to be days like today. And hopefully, with what we think about this New York Mets team, there'll be more days like today than there will be days like yesterday. A career day for Brandon Nimmo, 9 RBIs, tying Carlos Delgado for the franchise record. The Mets break out 21 hits, 19 runs. They salvaged the series split against the Washington Nationals, and now they will return back home to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We will be right back here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and in the Locked On Mets podcast feed to break it all down with you for this 3-game series against Arizona. So if you're new, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you're notified when we go live, and you can join us over here on the Mets Postcast. If you are already subscribed and this is your first time joining us, what took you so long? We've got a lot of fun here after all of these games. We interact. I want to hear from you throughout the course of these shows as well. We have a great time breaking down everything New York Mets, and we will do that again tomorrow when the Mets take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. But that'll do it for us here on the Mets Postcast. The Mets break out, huge offensive day, 19-5. They beat the Washington Nationals, a 9 RBI day for Brandon Nimmo. Huge breakout for him. You love to see it. And hopefully this allows the Mets to forget about what happened yesterday, and they carry some momentum into a really important series with Arizona. We'll talk to you next time.